first set is dead even.
Unbelievable combination.
Wow.
Beautifully done.
What a great spot. Hello and welcome to the 2025-26 APTA Tour. We're live from the Lauderdale Club in Townsend, Maryland, bringing you 2025 Baltimore Open with live streaming brought to you by the APTA membership and our tour presenting sponsor, Corient. Tournament support has also been provided by the following local sponsors: T. Rowe Price, Stiefel, Cushman & Wakefield, Charlene's Houses, MDP Insurance, Xenon Paddle, Ripple Branding, M4 Paddle, SCM Skill Capital Management, Baltimore Padel, the Lauderdale Club, Willpower PT, and the Seed School of Maryland. I'm Patty Hogan, along with the one and only on Baltimore's finest, Steve Sullivan, bringing you the women's finals, featuring our tournament number 1 seeded team of B. Lopez and Taya Page up against our tournament number 2 seeded team of Allison Morgan and Charlotte Sikora. Nancy Denig is in the chair umpiring this match. Welcome, Steve.
Patty, welcome to Towson, Maryland, my hometown, suburb of Baltimore. I think this is the southernmost stop this year on the APTA Tour. And yeah, beautiful fall day. A couple years ago, the inaugural Baltimore Open was 85 degrees, cramping, heat stroke. Today is really nice paddle weather, 55 degrees, cloudy. You can see the players on the screen. I think we have a really exciting matchup for week 3 of the APTA Tour.
Yeah, Steve, I mean, the tour kicked off in Montclair. Page and Lopez just picked up where they left off last year. You know, they lost in the finals of nationals, had such a run last year. They were the dynamic new team on the women's side, and they continued their run going, you know, through the draw at Montclair. And they're up against our tournament number 2 seeded, and one of my favorite teams ever of Morgan and Sikora, just because they're amazingly talented, super nice ladies out there, totally gracious, professional at all times. So I love watching both of these teams play, I got to say. And Morgan Sikora played Montclair, and they lost in the semis to Alexandre and Lalich. And some of you saw Lalich play earlier and Georgie Alexandre play earlier, and they were a phenomenal team. And, you know, they had a really good win over Morgan Sikora. So I feel like Morgan and Sikora are going to be really motivated. But, Steve, they've struggled a little bit. Can you tell us about some of their earlier matches here?
Yeah, so it's been a
struggle, but
yeah, there's been some close matches. So this is our, you know, finals for Baltimore. The semifinals, Lopez and Page went through Elliott and Lalich. It was a 3-4 match. It felt a little bit closer than that. They were probably one of the longer matches of the tournament so far, and I think, you know, the comfort as a team of Lopez and Page just, you know, I think kept Elliott and Lalich moving. But that was a super exciting match, a lot of firepower. Not only Macy Elliott, but Lisa Lalich were, you know, swinging from the hills, as we say. So that was super exciting. And, you know, before that, in the other semifinals, Morgan and Sikora made it through Buchanan and Mihalovic, which, again, on the scoreboard is a 3-3 match. Also maybe a little tighter on the scoreboard. But you mentioned some of the excitement earlier. I called a quarterfinal match with our colleague Laura Mandel, Alexandre and Petrini against Morgan Sikora in the quarterfinal match. It was a really good match. Another 3-3 in the scoreboard that felt like 5 and 6. 2-0 one team, 3-2 the other team, 5-3 one team, and then the other team goes up 3-0 in the second. So it was a really exciting match. I think Alexandre and Petrini were probably 2 or 3 points away from that being a 5-5 type match. But here we are, right? The two teams we expected, our 1 and 2 seeds, make it through. And yeah, it's exciting to see these two again. As you know, Patty, they've played each other before. So yeah, let's see what happens today in Baltimore.
yeah, they, you know, these teams, when you think about these teams on the tour last year, 7 finals for Lopez Page. They had 3 wins. Most importantly, they had some wins over Elliott and Burris, number 1 team in the country then, and now, still currently. And Morgan Sikora, you know, they won 5 tournaments on the tour 2 years ago. Last year, they made 3 finals. They had 2 wins. There's a lot of firepower that Morgan and Sikora are going to have to figure out how to diffuse from Lopez and Page. And they are just so explosive, Steve, off of forehands, backhands, that, you know, I look at this match and I think that Lopez and Page, I feel like it's their they have the explosiveness from every spot on the court. And I think Morgan Sikora will have to play a really thoughtful match, really think about their placement, try to keep it away from some weapons. And I think in the semifinal, we saw a lot of play going over to the deuce court to Lopez, keeping the ball away from Pejic, but almost to a fault, Steve, because Pejic got to sneak in and work her magic a little bit in their semifinal win. So I'll be curious. I'll watch for that as the match develops. But I mean, this is fun. They were 2-2 in their matchups last year. They played at Aronimink. That match, they played Aronimink, Long Island, Steel City, Chicago. Chicago was the Grand Prix, and Morgan Sikora. They defeated Lopez and Pejic in that match in 3 sets. Every time they play, Steve, it's a close one. So I hope you've pre-eaten before this final.
Yeah, this is the match everybody wanted to see. I think back to both on the men's and women's side. I think the match of the year last year was the women's semis in the national championship. Hanya Sabori, Lopez Pejic. The level of paddle, and Lopez Pejic lost that match. I think last year was sort of their real breakthrough year where they're winning events and sort of beating all the top teams. I would sort of start this match thinking Lopez and Pejic have the advantage, but you mentioned the styles of both teams, and it is really the exciting firepower of Lopez and Pejic versus the calm, supportive, happy, and very strong defensive team of Morgan Sikora. But, Charlotte Sikora has one of the sort of strongest defensive volleying games on the tour. So she's very effective at diffusing that power from the baseline. I think she's going to be successful today. And Allison Morgan, what can you say, right? She digs incredibly well. She's incredibly solid at the net. She's methodical when she's at the net, placing volleys and overhead. So I think there's going to be some cat and mouse, and we know the firepower of Lopez and Pejic is going to probably be on the highlight reel.
For sure. Steve, who do we thank for all these graphics here?
Yeah, so really exciting for us as commentators, but we are certainly the beneficiaries of the APTA investing more and more with both Court Director, right? This is the technology that, you can access to look at live scores in the tournaments. The chair staff, the chair umpires have this technology, and it sort of connects with this technology. It's called Streambox Labs, where you and I are sort of in the middle of this AI production system, trying to bring not only visibility to the matches, but to our sponsors and to some new statistics. So yeah, Court Director, Streambox Labs, two of the new companies that the APTA has been investing in the last couple of years to try and improve that audience experience. And all right, here we go. We have Taya Pejic serving the near side, wearing the blue like her partner, serving to Charlotte Sikora in the deuce, wearing the orange top. And her partner is Allison Morgan in all black.
Steve, I'm hard-pressed to believe why the APTA asks us as commentators why we have to dress alike, just like the players now, Steve.
Lime green's not my favorite color, but when you asked me to wear it, I just went all in. So I'm part of the generation coming from tennis that always used to match in doubles. In some tournaments it was required. So I love it. I like it on the men's side. They're starting to get a little bit more into the matching. But yeah, Pejic and Lopez are that team that 9 out of 10 times they're going to be wearing the same outfit. And hey, team spirit.
That's right. So, Stephen, the semifinal that I was on earlier, you got to watch it out the window. You didn't get to watch every point like I did. There are a lot of breaks on serve in the Pejic Lopez Lalich Elliott match. No one held serve for the first 6 games. I think in the 6th game, someone held. So I'll be looking to see, serving plays a big part out here, and these women go for it. Lopez and Pejic, in their semi, they went for their serve, Steve, big time.
Yeah, they've gone for a lot of the women's serves are getting bigger and bigger each year. The challenge with the early season, warmer weather paddle. I mean, we have 55 degrees, so it feels a little bit fall-ish today. But it's either a slower serve that you can attack, but in the case of the big server, it may come off the screens pretty hot and give that return the ability to sort of move forward and hit down on it. So it'll be interesting to see, is the serve effective, or are we going to see a break fest like you did in the other semis?
I think Morgan and Sikora, they're a really smart team, and they're going to have to play really smart. And Like right there, we saw it. How Charlotte went off speed and then pulled the trigger on the ball right, straight ahead. I think that's what they can do. They can be so clever out there. And I think if they can execute using all those change of paces, and we know Allison Morgan loves doing that, they could. It's going to help them try to break down Paige and Lopez at the net. Paige and Lopez, Steve, I like them better as a baseline team. I feel like they're more effective from the baseline in a way. I feel like sometimes at the net, they don't do as much shifting as some other teams, and they're not crystal clear on their overhead coverage. They were in their semis, I got to say. But right at the onset here, when the ball shifts over to that juice corner where Charlotte Sikora is on the far side, you see how close Paige was to the net. I think if Sikora gets that lob going up the line, it's going to present some big coverage problems for Paige and Lopez.
You saw that one, Patty, a couple shots ago where Paige and Lopez went at that ball. That lob Charlotte Sikora hit sort of down the line towards the middle. So that's what you don't want to see from a coverage perspective. You want it to be very clear to stay home, stay in your position. But I tend to agree their baseline game is probably their strong suit.
Well, I almost
of a
feel
lot
like,
of strong suits. Yeah.
Right. They have so many. I feel like, they are themselves, when they hit from the baseline, they're just free swinging. And, they don't have to be as thoughtful in a way because they're so dominant on both their forehands and their backhands. I don't know if that makes sense. But, I think at the net, when you're tested with your coverage by really good teams, that's kind of, that's going to be like one of the crucial points about who comes out on top in this match.
So that was one of those serves or returns that you talked about, Patty. Paige hit a really strong serve down the tee, came off the back screen hot. Charlotte Sikora just sort of, held her ground and moved forward with the ball and immediately took over the net. So the big serve sometimes in this type of weather doesn't necessarily perform as effectively as you want.
Steven, in that transition game when Sikora got to the net and then just hit that heavy roller, I mean, you've got to have that shot in the women's game now to compete against the best players.
Yeah, I've seen, some of the online demos of, Macy Elliott doing a little roller clinic. And I think in the last couple of years, maybe there's more rollers, but it's so dynamic. Speed, direction, side screen, back screen, right at the opponent. I think it's one of those shots that not only do you have to have it, but it's one of the varieties that you can bring to the game that keeps that team sort of not knowing how the ball is going to play so repetitively every time. So I agree, one of the most exciting shots we have.
It's a good shot. With those red sneakers, B. Lopez, white sneakers, Taya Paige in the near court. I thank God they wear different color sneakers, Steve.
Yep. They're definitely twinning out there.
You can see how Paige is looking kind of to close in case like a little sneak attack comes in. You can see she's kind of positioning herself to be ready to try to cut that ball off.
So Allison Morgan, I was just going to say, Patty, she's really sort of effectively moving her lobs around. I like the down the line lob from the ad to the deuce court because it really gives potentially that separation that you would want to see if you want to attack.
Next ball, Morgan should do the same lob and blitz, Steve. Yep. That's what I would love to see. She had it set up. She kind of had lulled.
That's the one. Yep.
Yeah, she had lulled Lopez a little bit. Lopez hitting those, a couple of push overheads in a row. I would love to see Morgan just go and attack, take one of those out of the air. You could see Charlotte was thinking, okay, let's attack one of these, but she's not in a position to do it effectively.
Not in the right position, but it was also a little bit shorter. Allison Morgan had kept Lopez so far back that one she let come a little bit close to the net, and of course Charlotte picked the wrong one to blitz on.
All right, we're back to deuce. Our scorekeeper maybe is a psychic, Steve. But you think about
really
the
nice
game,
pace.
like 4 years ago, Steve, you didn't see all these heavy rollers. Now every player on the women's side at the top of the game has those heavy rollers. Based on where you're standing on the court, there's going to be an overhead that you can use that can still be sort of an attack type of overhead, and that's why you've got to, the more you develop your overhead variety, then you have something that can meet the demand of what a situation calls for.
And it's that nice movement there by Taya Page. It's that excitement and social aspect of the game that's bringing more and more people in, not just from a playing perspective, but from a teaching perspective. There's been a lot of development in Baltimore of new investments in paddle courts, but you also have people like Taya Page, you have Ellie Hallbauer, right? There's a lot of former tennis talent, high-level talent, racket skills coming into the game that I think it's giving a lot more opportunity to sort of see. Oh, there's the absolute killer by B. Lopez.
Wow. Steve, one thing in that game, you saw Paige unload on a shorter ball on Sikora, and she kind of broke down Sikora on that volley. I think when Paige has a little bit of ball shorter in the court, I think Sikora's got to do one of two things. She's either got to bail altogether, but I don't think she had to bail or close in. I think she had to close in to eliminate some of that yardage in front of her between herself and the net, because Paige just can hit that dipper all day long. And, Morgan and Sikora are going to have to defend the drives against Lopez Page, and particularly Page is out of that ad court.
And I think you're right. It's not only the pace, but that, you call it that dipper, that topspin. There's another one by B. Lopez in the orange shoes there on the far side. That is sometimes very tricky, and your positioning determines, is that an easy ball to defend, or is that a really hard ball to defend? So I think you're right. Moving forward, staying a little bit close to the net, if they see that big windup, is absolutely the recipe for Sikora and Morgan here.
Yeah, they got to, and I think another recipe, you just saw that Allison Morgan overhead, off speed, pretty deep, and Lopez, missed the forehand on it. I think that's going to be a key shot for Morgan Sikora. Hitting shots like that, somewhat neutral, but that really forces Lopez to drive from a much deeper spot on the court.
All right, you can see a little bit there, which is interesting. Not all teams do this, but Allison Morgan using signals with Charlotte Sikora and really telling her two things: direction of the serve and what am I going to do? Am I going to move? Am I going to stay? In that case, she sort of opened her hands and indicated a fake. So nice little hands battle there.
So B. Lopez is the only one of these four women not currently in the teaching profession. She was formerly interested and taught for a couple of years over at the beautiful Orange Lawn Club in South Orange, New Jersey. Allison Morgan is co-director out in Chicago with Adam at Birchwood. Charlotte Sikora owns her own company, Racket Odyssey, Steve, and she travels all around the world sharing her passion for platform tennis and tennis. She does a wonderful job. And Taya Page is lives up in Stamford, Steve. And I mean, these women, what strong tennis backgrounds. We talked about it in the semis. I mean, everybody's watching at home and wishes they could be as good as these guys. And that the fundamentals from tennis are such a key to becoming a top platform tennis player.
And I think that's, for club players, people like myself and the broader communities who play paddle, this is really what you want to see at your club. Like, you want that energy, you want that former racket skill capability to sort of teach and instruct. It's a very unique game. Paddle has a lot of interesting techniques. It has a lot of interesting strategies. So I love that 3 of the 4 we've hired. My club, Roll and Run in Baltimore, has hired Charlotte Sikora's company a few times to come down, and the members just rave about it, right? It's such an opportunity to sort of learn from a much different perspective how to play this game.
Well, I always say when a 6'4" male teaches a 5'3" woman, there's some differences just in how they go about it. So I think having, the profession has totally opened up, blown up. When I started out a trillion years ago, there were very few women pros. And now you've got tons of them in every state all around the country. And I think that's a big reason why the game is growing. And we love all the leagues out there and all the women players. I see the New Jersey women's players, President Jenna McClintock. They're so into it, and they love all these players go all around the country, Steve, going to these paddle camps where there's involvement with these women because they want to learn from the best women.
100%. As having two daughters that played sports, I was always looking for that female coaching leadership. I think it just resonates more. It's a easier connection, and my daughters were certainly lucky to be the recipients of some very strong female role models in sports, which racket sports, it's important as well.
And having said that, I also have taught with an amazing amount of male instructors who get it and adjust the game for who they are teaching specifically on that day. So, you really kind of have to do that. I can't hit a ball like Enrique Pardo, but I can maybe outthink him still, just a little bit. Maybe I have a couple more months to outthink him. But we all approach the game differently, and I think, a lot of women, you can't just go out there and overpower someone. So you've got to be more thoughtful in your approach. And it's a game, Steve, that's an amazing thing. Every level can improve, and you can improve your positioning, and you improve your shot selection. You improve your variety on your shots, and all of those things. Inch by inch, every player who plays the sport of platform can get better. That's been my belief system.
I think that's the right take. You're down low 30. Maybe you have a little bit of an opportunity to make something happen. Charlotte Sikora moved to it, but just couldn't get that ball over the net there. But I like the move.
Rock solid volleys. Oh, boom! But one landed a little too short. Way to tee off. Sikora loved that. And again, Paige just didn't know what to do. Just let that ball go through. At that point, you're beyond the service line. Let it come off the back screen.
That's another opportunity for Charlotte Sikora to get a body shot there. But at the end of the day, that net team, in this case, Pejic and Lopez, who are retreating, there's really no better spot when you're taking over the net than to play it right at them. Their feet aren't settled. They're moving backwards. We love to think that that's maybe an ankle shot and not a shoulder shot, but at the end of the day, it's absolutely smart tactical play by Charlotte Sikora.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think so many club level players tend to look for the open spot all the time, where I think at a higher level they go at their feet because they know that limits what they can do on the next shot.
Yep. Brilliant pace, hands by Allison Morgan. And there's that dynamic optionality that you have with that forehand roller. Loved it. V. Lopez on the far side serving here to Allison Morgan in the ad.
Love that. The ball was going into Sikora's corner. You saw she just went over, and Morgan trailed the play, covered it up, and boom, lob, and we're in transition. Then they take over the net. Steve, I love the start for Morgan and Sikora here. I see so many matches where Pejic and Lopez just come out of the box. They're so explosive, and teams don't have their footing and aren't ready for it. But Morgan and Sikora look really ready.
Great point. I agree, Patty. They look ready, but they're playing the right shot at the right point in time. There's no need to try and win those hands battles. You just want to survive them. And especially, with Pejic and Lopez on the other side of the net, I think Charlotte Sikora, masterful job not overthinking it. Put the paddle in the ball, get it back over the net, stay, retreat, but stay in the point. And here we go now, break point for Allison Morgan.
And again, you saw going after Sikora. Look at that coverage in that corner. Awesome.
Love it. Love the presence of mind for Allison Morgan just to hit that pickle volley over the net. And of course, all that energy, B. Lopez and Taya Page are going to take a crack at it. So really smart defensive play there by Allison Morgan.
And the play by Sikora twice in that game. I saw an APTA tip of the week from Macy Elliott, I think, and she was talking about when you get over to that corner, if you can't block that ball headed to the nick, just go toward that side screen because your partner will cover any ball that flies out, and that gives you much more coverage up that side screen. And Sikora just made an awesome get on that ball. Allison Morgan serving. Up 2-1. First set finals of the Baltimore Open. So, Steve, an interesting thing in the last match, they went after Lopez a lot, but Lopez is one of the women players who catches up to every ball from what I can see. And that big, heavy ball, I think there's 4 women on the tour who could get that ball and run out and make that play, and Lopez is one of them. So the super hard one at her, it will definitely cause a huge, turbulent moment. And Lopez is coming out swinging. So again, that's where Sikora has to make a decision. She's either going to close in and get on top of the net or just let the ball go through. You're a little bit back and a little defensive. She can get on that top.
And you can see how precise that ground stroke by Charlotte Sikora is. She gets the shoulder high ball, she swings away. Maybe Paige and Lopez were a touch off the net, and digging that ball off your feet is not an easy task. Charlotte Sikora's got some power behind her ground strokes as well.
It's interesting. Sometimes Lopez, with those slower types of overheads and serves, kind of overhits on that. I think she's got to recognize it doesn't have to be so much power at that point. Use your topspin and just get that ball to dip.
Absolute rocket from Taya Page to transition back up to the net there with the forehand.
Steve, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but what's up next on the APTA Tour?
All right, back to 2-all. So yeah, this is week 3, Patty. Up next is one of the most exciting events of the year, Chicago Charities, November 7th through 9th. That's probably the first event of the year where everybody's going to show. We have throughout the season a series of Grand Prix. Last year it was 4. This year it's 5 Grand Prix playing through the APTA Tour season. So yeah, we go to the Midwest for Chicago, then to Cleveland, coming back to Aronimink and Long Island. So it's we're just at the beginning of this APTA Tour season and ultimately working our way through not only the other Grand Prix like Aronimink, Boston Short Hills, and the Midwesterns, but our national championships early March being held in New Jersey.
Hosted by Canoe Brook Country Club.
This is Patty week 3. I mentioned called a couple men's matches today as well, and Nunez and Powers. You made the comment watching them and the men's semifinals. Like this feels, and I think for both of these teams, it feels like mid-season form. Both of these teams, okay, we're 2-all, right? The matches at a deadlock, you could say, but both teams here also playing really good paddle. Looks like mid-season form. Obviously, a lot of these teams are playing throughout the summer a little bit, but yeah, really a quick start. And of course, Lopez and Page looking for their second win to follow up Montclair a few weeks ago.
What a huge serve from Page right there.
Yeah, the racket head speed and the spin on that might be the biggest I've seen in the deuce court on the women's tour this year. It's just a very heavy spin serve.
Taya Page played college tennis at Ole Miss. And you know what, Steve? You know she has a master's in finance from the University of Nevada.
Well, since they're playing for the biggest prize money, I think, this year in the APTA Tour, good to know that she's going to have a strong opinion of what to do with her prize money here. So, yeah, big shout out to both Mike Cochran, the head of rackets at Larendale, and Sam Byram. This is the third year of the Baltimore Open, and always a huge shout out to the sponsors, not only nationally. We talk about Corient. You can also see up on the headmast there, T. Rowe Price, and a series of others that really not only allow us to put on these events at the Larendale Club, but the objective for a city like Baltimore is to attract the best talent, bring people in, and I think the prize money does it. All right, a quick read from one of our national sponsors, Corient, the official well sponsor of the APTA's 2025-2026 season. Corient is a fee-only wealth manager who puts their clients at the center of everything they do. Learn more at corient.com.
Something we'll keep an eye on, Steve, as this match progresses is you saw on that last point where Lopez got the nick on Sikora going cross court. I think that's where Sikora maybe thinks about cutting off that ball. If she did a great job when the ball shot out and went up that side screen a game ago, twice. But I think she could just take that shot away from Lopez in this match by kind of holding her ground a little bit, maybe having Morgan sneak over slightly and just do a little bit more work in the middle so that Sikora can cheat over. Only when I see Lopez, when she has that diagonal on Sikora, I just think Sikora can make her pay. I think she could look and crush a forehand. She could lob up the line, and it'll cause a lot of problems for coverage for Lopez Page.
Yeah, really nice defensive volleys there by both Morgan and Sikora. And now just sort of getting established in the point. And you can see Taya Page very aggressive with her footwork, looking, for that opportunity to sort of move to the side screen.
That's a second floater volley that Sikora didn't come up with. I think it's really important on volleying, Steve, to keep your wrists really firm at that moment of impact when you're on top of the net and you're a little bit in that volley position. It's really important to keep that paddle head up above your wrist. When it drops down, that ball floats long on you a little bit, or wide in that case. That was a rock-solid volley technique. She just held her paddle perfectly still. Just kind of the cat and mouse game that Morgan loves. He loves hitting all those off-speed kinds of shots. Really being patient, trying to create an opening for them to then pull the trigger with a ground stroke. The ball hit the seam?
Yeah, it looks like that's a seamer. So quick other camera view we have here, Patty, from Streambox Labs. You can see quite a crowd developing in the back. We have the men's semis on the court to our right. Here's B. Lopez serving the orange shoes. But behind us, we do have stands. Behind the stands, you see a number of tents with food and drinks and bars set up. So it's quite a festival atmosphere out here at the Larendale Club today. Really nice and a lot of different options to watch paddle, but bringing in the stands that are full at the moment. Really nice environment.
Shout out to Kevin and Liz Landy from Chatham, New Jersey, enjoying paddle throughout the day.
Just got a little shout out from my doubles partner, Stu Linus, going back and forth between the men's semis and the women's finals, watching the streams. He was over here earlier today, actually watched at the Roll and Run Club. So, yeah, shout out to him. We're still getting over Patty. A Thursday lost to Larendale and Inner Club this week. So,
I'm sorry, Steve.
all you can do is move on. And today's been a great day to forget about what our paddle looked like and see what paddle's supposed to look like. So, reluctantly back at Larendale today, but enjoying a really nice day of paddle.
But I'm sure, like everybody else who didn't win a match, Steve, you have some positive takeaways for your team. And it's like, I should have done this and I could have done that, and hopefully you do it the next time.
We had a lot of those. A lot of shoulda, woulda, couldas. Really nice deep lobbing by Allison Morgan.
Wow, Steve, look at that score. Regalado Salazar. 0-0 in the second and third set. Boy.
Before we start, I came on to the stream, watched a couple points, and saw the end of that first set, and probably some words we shouldn't repeat in Spanish coming from Regalado and Salazar, but boy, did they turn that one around. This might be the longest point of the match. Got a little technology, Patty. You can see this is approaching 2 minutes this point.
Yeah.
Both teams looking comfortable.
I love this technology. Steve, we can even, you probably could tell me the score of the Nunes match, even though you're not watching it.
Yeah, Court Director and now Streambox Labs. We have a lot of optionality. Oh, what a get. Nice stretch there by Allison Morgan. Just couldn't keep that ball on the court.
Pretty big point. Pretty big point. I'd love to see Morgan take a crack. I'd just love to see her put a little more pressure on the server coming in. Like, even just, chip that ball cross court instead of letting the person already at the net handle that off-speed ball. Force the server to come in and try to handle that around their knees.
I tend to agree. In the quarterfinal match earlier, Allison Morgan against Alexandra Petrini, she was patient at times with the return, but every so often she absolutely cracked the return, and it was incredibly effective. She loves her two-handed backhand, can really turn on it and go from high to low. So I tend to agree. She's playing a little bit more for the forehand here against B. Lopez.
There she goes. She moved in. She tried to get a little more cross court, but again, because it's not hit very hard, you just see Paige handle it so that Lopez doesn't even have to think about volleying most of those balls from Morgan right now. Steve, a couple years ago when Nikolescu was at the top of the game. She's still an amazing player in her court. She used to just swarm that net. Players couldn't get the ball past them with their returns. And Paige kind of is like that. She wants to hit the next ball. I think for Morgan Sikora, Steve, that was a big time serve on that point ago where Sikora kind of got jammed and for her backhand. I just would love to see when Sikora gets in a little bit of trouble, like know where your shot is, where you're looking for it, what your strike zone is, and if it's not there, put that ball in play at that point because it's 30-all and you're down 2-4 first set finals. I think little moments like that make a big difference in these matches. Beautiful swing. Beautiful two-hander there from Charlotte.
Patty, you mentioned big points. It's also that seventh game that we talk about sometimes, and that was another really long point. I feel like Morgan and Sikora really need to find a way to stay close in this match, but a lot of firepower on the other side of the net. So Lopez and Paige, taking the 5-2 lead.
Yeah, 4 points in a row right there.
And that was a 30-love deficit, I believe. So love 30 to taking the game 4 points in a row.
A little bit of separation starting here in this match, Steve.
Yeah, you can see all the new statistics, looking at points, looking at different holds and breaks and different technology that we're trying to bring. I think it was 59% to 41% was the point differential. And at times,
Steve.
So there you can see it. Sometimes it's even tighter than that, but it's, it seems 60-40 is kind of close, but 5-2 on the scoreboard looks kind of distant. So it's, I think it's a little close from the scoreboard. Morgan Sikora keeping the games pretty close, but they need to find a way to get games, convert points into games, and keep this match as close as possible. But as we know, paddle's a game of momentum, so at any moment, these matches can turn. Nice nick there.
Wow. See that power from Paige? It just, I talked about, Sikora missing a couple volleys and, a little bit of head movement there from Morgan there, and that's the ball that just floats on you. But that's because of the pressure from Paige and right now Lopez. So again, Steve, it comes down to how do you handle their firepower? And it's critical to get more volleys deep, mix up those overheads, keep them a-running. And keep them a-running side to side.
That's right.
Not into the court.
You want to limit their opportunities to hit those shots. I mean, when they're swinging away, you mentioned, Taya Paige's power, B. Lopez's power is right behind it. And you can see, how aggressive they could be, that return there by Taya Paige. But, the objective is to find not necessarily weak spots on the other side of the court, but spots where you can't get hurt. And I think this is the challenge, potentially finding the side screens a little more, not giving them those balls they can tee off on.
I'm almost thinking, I think Paige is on fire here, crushing the ball. I think they should consider staying back on it. I don't think it's doing them any good to come in behind it. I don't think Morgan doesn't generate enough pace on her serve that impacts Paige. I think Morgan's serve impacts Lopez a little bit more, but Paige is such a high ball striker and generates her own pace that she just, I feel like she's doing a drill out there right now, Steve. Wow. That was a great play from Sikora. Sikora's got it. Yeah, there it is. Got to get that ball deep, and then they got to close in. If they see, I just think when you see Paige and Lopez moving towards you at the net, you got to close them.
Great point. Nice coverage and communication there. I think Paige went to the right spot. Lopez also went to the right spot, but that was a tough nick to cover there. And I definitely like the energy of the last few points. So see if Allison Morgan serving here. She stays back, and Charlotte Sikora certainly was on her heels there.
Yeah, I'm just.
I still like the play early in the match where Morgan is doing this up the line. And you see how Lopez doesn't overhit those balls at all. It kind of hits a little bit of a floater. I do think it's an opportunity for Morgan to pull in a blitz play.
I totally agree, Patty. I think this is one of the tendencies and opportunities that I've seen. You called it out early, but I think it's kind of coming back where B. Lopez is doing the right thing, but she's really floating that ball back and giving, Sikora and Morgan every opportunity in the world to sort of rethink how they could take advantage of those floating volleys. But let's see.
Yeah, they've got to create offensive looks for themselves more. And sometimes you just don't get them because of the level and depth and pace of the overheads of your opponents and their volleys as well. So that's where I think pulling a surprise attack out of nowhere could be super helpful and timely. See right here, this is the one. Good lob up the line, but it's on Paige. And Paige generates so much more pace on her overhead. I'd be reluctant to think about a blitz with her, but I would do it to Lopez big time.
Well, because we've seen the tendency, and B. Lopez is doing everything. Yeah, I think you're right. So you can see Taya Paige. She's hitting through that volley a little bit more. It's coming lower across the net, where B. Lopez is probably pushing it a little bit deeper with a little bit more air underneath it. So nice get there by Charlotte Sikora. She got to recover. Allison Morgan does the right thing, sends the ball up into the sky, gives her time.
See, even that ball. I mean, it'd be interesting. Just pounce on one out of the air, just to throw something else at Paige and Lopez. I think Sikora cut herself, maybe on the door on that last play.
Yeah, she went through hard and then sort of stopped before she retreated back into the court. So I think she might have caught her hand.
Steve, can you run a replay and we could see what happened exactly?
We can run a replay, but we didn't catch that. We didn't catch that point to run the replay on. But we'll have to see if our producers can go find that for us later in the match. But I think you're right. She must have. I have gotten my hands caught in this chicken wire screen, and I think she came across the door. And
well, she pulled up, Steve. I almost thought it was a leg, something. Like she hesitated for a second, and I thought that was a terrific play by Morgan. She recognized it and just threw up a nice high, slow-moving lob that allowed Charlotte to kind of regroup and jump back in there. So we have a little injury timeout here. Steve, do you have any sense what's going on in the men's semifinal with Nunes, Powers?
Yeah, so we're going to have a Regalado Salazar Nunez Powers final that's going to start. probably in the next 30, 45 minutes. The men's final is going to start probably concurrently with this match.
Okay, great.
So yeah, that one's also fallen to seeds. I think the match everybody wanted at the beginning of the tournament was the match that they got. We had Stojic and Grigorovich. That was the score you called a little bit earlier, Patty. And then the other men's semis, we had Russell Bentheim, Sven Burish against Nunez and Powers, and that was a little bit of one-way traffic on the Nunez Powers side. So yeah, the excitement continues at Larendale. We're going to have a nice night. The crowd's still building, and maybe what we should do here is we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we're going to figure out what's going on in the hut with Charlotte Sikora, and we will be right back.
My name is Adam Morgan. I'm the director of rackets at the Birchwood Club in Highland Park, Illinois. My goal for this season is to win a Grand Prix. I'm playing with a new partner this season, so just getting used to playing with Grant. Just try to make sure my body's healthy and I'm ready to go physically for the weekend. I hate warm-ups. I guess massage gun? Yes. Thank you.
Hoist that thing up, guys. You guys deserve it. Tremendous year.
All right, so we just came back. Welcome back to the APTA YouTube channel. A little bit of an injury timeout, Patty. We're talking about Charlotte Sikora. Looks like she got a Band-Aid. She caught her hand as she ran up for that low drop shot. But yeah, it looks like we are back. Taya Page is still ready to serve here. 15 love from the near side.
Is it 15 love or love 15, Steve?
It is love 15. Thank you for that.
Okay, thank you. You know, that's what happens when you're around royalty like Macy Elliott. You forget little things.
I got Macy on one side, Guillermo Nunez on the other side.
Oh,
A lot of excitement in the hut at Larendale, and honestly, it's excitement for this match. I think there's a lot of eyes, huge crowd, but also the players are inside the hut watching behind me through the glass. And you mentioned it earlier, Patty. This is a 2-2 head-to-head, so anything can happen.
yep, and every match a brawl for the most part last season. You see Paige, I really like what she's doing as the player to the left. Like she's on to Allison, kind of like when Macy Elliott plays, and a lot of times she'll zero in on that player in that ad court, and she'll just move up and back, up and back. You know, she knows that the ball her partner hits is going to, you know, it's predictable what's going to come next, and I love that she doesn't hang out. She really closes and takes away, like, the drive altogether in the middle. And again, I think this is where Sikora's got to throw that ball up the line. She had Paige on top of the net, and I think they have to start messing with Paige.
There's that ball. Yeah, I agree. Here's this. Yeah, B. Lopez is putting a little bit of air under that volley. And Allison Morgan's she's lobbing very well.
She is, but she's got to do the 1-2 punch. She's got to get something out of those good lobs. Yeah, and Steve, you said it earlier. You know, when Paige is up the line from Morgan, she hits a different kind of overhead.
Yep.
But Morgan found her spot there. Oh, I love the move that Sikora just did. She kind of faked that she was closing and moved and just gave Lopez a different look there.
Yeah, move. and then get the hell out of the way. It was a really smart tactical because, obviously stay there at your own risk, but making those two think about where they're hitting those big swinging ground strokes is, I love the tactical play. Allison Morgan just sort of got away from her a little bit.
All right, so Paige goes big on her serve and works out well for her mostly. And we'll see if Sikora gets a look. Really teed up to crush a two-handed backhand here. Wow. Wow. Might have been Morgan's ball even to handle. I don't know.
It might have been. I think it was indecisive. I think it was either, is it my ball or where am I going to go? Am I going to waterfall again or am I going to do something different? That looked like just indecisive.
Yep. It was a tweener and the lob placement caused confusion. And we have a set point for Paige and Lopez. We will be right back in just a... Oh, sorry. We'll be right back in a moment after these messages right here on the APTA YouTube channel with live streaming by Streambox Labs and match statistics provided by Court Director.
At Corient.
Hey, Steve.
I'm here, Patty. 6-3.
So, Steve, it looks like we're right back in the middle of the action here with Charles Sikora starting the second set.
Yeah, a quick break. It looked like our feed dropped for a second, but it came right back. And both of these teams, maybe after the long break a game or so ago by Charlotte Sikora, basically just walked to the other side of the court and started up.
Okay.
Yeah, a little bit of a closer point differential. I felt like the end of that set got a little tighter, a little bit more heated, Patty, than the maybe beginning and middle parts of that first set.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. And so, Steve, we're coaching Morgan and Sikora here. All right? We know we want Morgan to take advantage. If she gets those good lobs up the line, take it. And I think Sikora, I want her over on the baseline in that deuce corner, and I want her to get some lobs up the line and get Paige, who's on top of the net and really controlling this match at the net. She's doing a wonderful job. I think they've got to start like wrong footing Paige a little bit when she's at the net, because I feel like Paige is feeling it throughout this entire match. And I think Morgan Sikora, they're an amazing volleying team. They had a couple volley errors that were a result of just the pace, like breaking down their stroke. But right there, you saw Allison Morgan keep her second hand on her paddle, Steve, and was able to keep her paddle head still. And that's going to be that's one of the keys to really good volleying. When you see the shot, they got to close in. But they have to figure out a way to capitalize there. A little bit, create some more offense for themselves. I don't think they win this match with phenomenal defensive play.
I tend to agree, and obviously Charlotte Sikora has the power and the offense and the roller that we're seeing in this point. I think, this game, and technically this game as good as anybody in the sport. And yeah, a couple of those loose volleys in the first set. I would generally say it's Charlotte Sikora on a couple occasions, not maybe technically missing a forehand volley. I think she's trying to find the perfect spot, whether it's to avoid the big ground stroke. Sometimes when you get into the situation and you're not sure how to win points, you overthink it. And when you start overthinking, you sort of lose a little bit of your natural, playing tendency. So, yeah, I think you've highlighted, Patty, a couple of the opportunities. I do think they need to make something happen versus just play a defensive game. So, it feels like important to, get this set off to the right start. So 30-all with Charlotte Sikora serving feels like an important game. What did you want to see there?
I would have loved to have Sikora hit the next ball. Just Morgan get out of her way.
Yeah.
Charlotte was working on something, and sometimes you need a couple of those overhead hit touches in a row to try to break down a player. We want Morgan right there to take that middle volley all day long. But if that ball's up higher, I want to see Sikora get another overhead. And, what they screwed up on right before set point there was exactly the situation where it was a floater in between and Sikora maybe took a ball from Morgan. But that's why club-level players should really think about, anytime you're a little uncertain, keep putting balls into the middle of the court. It's your higher percentage shot, and it will cause some confusion. A little hesitation from the opposition.
Really envy. I need like a really good dessert with that. To make it more fun.
Shout out to Karen Edlick and Ann Waldron doing a ton of work down in Baltimore here today. As the tour expanded, the APCA staffing has expanded. They have 9 employees now of the organization, and we need them.
So bad.
All right. It wasn't a must hold, but it really kind of was. They needed to stop some of that momentum that Lopez and Page had.
Yeah, I feel like they're playing well, Patty. It's maybe 6-3 is a little bit more of a separation than we felt in some of those points, but the big points, Lopez and Page were sort of winning, and they had a lot of energy. And I think you've sort of called it right. Like at this point, you think about, how do I turn around a match? Should we do something different? And I like the thought that Sikora and Morgan can bring a little bit more energy, a little bit more offense. And, you brought up earlier, maybe go behind Page. Don't sort of feed into her strengths, but make her think about her movement and her positioning. So this is an interesting game, right? We're going to have Page and Lopez serving. So Allison Morgan and Charlotte Sikora will be in that lobbing tendency. We picked this up in the very first game, how effective Allison Morgan's lob was, but how do they capitalize on it and maybe move B. Lopez around and sort of find those floater volleys to take advantage of?
Paige, when we talk about, she came out of the womb with this natural power that she's such a pure ball striker. Where, like Lopez, amazing pure ball striker, but doesn't self-generate as much power as Paige does. But Lopez generates much more power off her ground strokes than, let's say, Allison Morgan. So, there's differences all the time with all of these players. But I think Morgan, I just think on her return, I feel like somehow she's got to put more pressure on the serves of Lopez and Page.
Oh, wow. She is tomorrow going to be a slow day.
I mean, clearly when she drills with her husband Adam, he hits all the drives. I think Allison's got to say, "Come on, Adam, you volley all day long. I got to pounce."
I think it is.
Great practice partner, Adam Morgan, Graham McNerney, are defending national champs on the men's side.
Yep, Graham played. I think this is early in the season for Adam. But they usually play. I'm sure we'll see them in Chicago big time. They're just not here down in Baltimore today.
Yeah, Graham finalist in Montclair, winner with Adam Morgan in Medina. So, he's getting the cobwebs off and setting up for an exciting Grand Prix Chicago Charities in a few weeks. 2 weeks.
First of 5 Grand Prix on the APTA Tour. All right. Yeah, I feel like Morgan's so deep back there. And then if you place this block it, that's great. But I think she should block to some, go for an angle cross court. Go up the line a little bit more. Because I think that puts a little bit more offensive pressure on Sikora to do something.
No, she has clearly played her very nice. I hope she comes. She might come hang out. Yeah, anything local. She'll probably come watch it around. Yeah. I know she's itching, but she's been she'll watch. Yeah, she'll play tennis. She'll watch tennis. She's in Huntington. Yeah. She's still the director.
Love the point. Love the setup. It's got to execute that last volley. I think Charlotte wants that one back.
Yep. But that's the play. We want to see that more.
Yeah, you're right. They need to make it happen. They need to make something positive, aggressive, and offensive happen from their side of the court.
Wow, that's one way.
Yeah, fun tonight.
Great rip from Sikora. See, I love it when Sikora picks the right ball. I think there is a tendency. If Allison is just a little too much defensive minded over there, which that's really her strength as a player, and it makes Sikora go for a little bit more at times. Wow, what a cover there.
Charlotte got a little bit lucky there. Didn't watch the Macy Elliott APTA instruction on playing that corner, but got really lucky. Should have probably moved along that side screen there. But yeah, what a lunge. And they're digging.
Hand play.
Yep. That's it. It's just staying in the point, putting the paddle behind the ball.
Yeah, I love this. I love the pressure with Sikora there. A little chip off speed and just pounced. And she's got that wingspan, so why not take advantage of it? I think that creativity is what Morgan and Sikora need as a team. So a huge break right there.
Huge. And that's like we said, it's a game momentum. So you could say, should they slow it down now or should they keep up the pace? But I like them talking, thinking about here's where we are, here's what we need to do.
Well, to your point earlier, right now I just be focused on making every volley, simplify. What, Lopez and Page, how many teams have they defeated with lobbing? None.
Yeah.
Never. So overcompensate. And that's why I think when they see that drive coming, almost go in too much. Because if you can get Page and Lopez to throw up a lob at the last second, that would be a gift, and you would just run it down off the back screen. But a Page on, break on Page's serve is huge. We'll see what that does to Taya's approach here. I have a feeling it will have no impact, Steve.
Just be clear about what you're doing. Yeah, I know.
Do you know what I'm saying? You know what's happening.
Yeah.
You felt that one coming, I think.
Yep.
Thank you, guys.
Are you okay?
Yeah, all good. I just have to get the gym one.
Oh my God.
I like that spot as well. Taya Page has been sort of creeping. That's a really, offensive footwork play by Taya Page to get on that side screen when that ball goes to that position. But make them play it, right? Challenge them. And I really like how Morgan Sikora challenged her in that ball and made her hit a shot she probably shouldn't have attempted.
See how far off the net
Yep.
was? And I just think you can't play that. You cannot play off the net against Taya Page.
Yeah, those dipping ground strokes that they hit, you give that, 1 or 2 feet further back opening, and it's just a much more difficult volley to defend against. Same as that one right there.
Lopez doing a good job with her two-handed backhand, couple looks off that back screen. I love that she takes a swing on those. We'll see if Charlotte, she's still off the net. I mean, that's plenty of room for Paige to hit a dipper. And I think by Charlotte playing so deep also, Steve, it takes her out of the realm of possibility to help Charlotte with that ball and cut it off, where Paige is cutting off a lot of balls after Lopez serves it. Charlotte can't cut off any of those balls and to help out Morgan because she's significantly off the net, I think. Like right here, and I think this is a field day for Paige. I just think if Sikora took 2 steps in, it could impact Paige a little bit on her return.
Oh yeah, I've asked, and apparently
And I said in the first set, I wonder if the play against Paige for Morgan is to just stay back and not fight it, because she's so dominant on that forehand return of serve.
Yeah, don't mind the move there, but I think that volley was just a little bit more aggressive, and Sikora had to make contact below the height of the net, which is a very difficult hands volley to move with all that momentum. So, yeah, I think it's a little bit of a slowing the momentum that Morgan Sikora had, but they're still up 2-1. Let's take a little bit of a peek here, Patty, at our other camera. Looking back across the Larendale Club, we have quite a crowd in both the stands. Standing next to the stands, you can see some fire pits in the background. So one of the bigger crowds I think that we get during the season on the APTA Tour. So the fans at Larendale enjoying some beverages, some food, and the first of 2 really impressive finals for week 3 in the APTA Tour.
Steve, have you ever bowled at the Larendale Club?
I have. It's been a few decades, but I have bowled at the Larendale Club. They still have the bowling alley, which is one of the fun social activities that the club has, in addition to a lot of tennis courts, some new pickle courts, 7 paddle courts that are one of the host sites this week for the Baltimore Open. We have Baltimore Country Club, Elk Ridge, Green Spring Valley Hunt Club, and Roll and Run, my home club, also pitching in. But yeah, Larendale is one of the homes of Baltimore paddle. They host a lot of events, throughout the season, some PTI events. So yeah, it's a great spot, a great community center for paddle in Baltimore that Larendale plays in our community.
Steve, do you have the privilege of knowing Hall of Famer John Harine?
I know John. I was at the Nationals. I think it was 2017 when he was inducted. John, like myself, is a big lefty. So some of my early days in paddle were with John, trying to figure out how to hit that big lefty cut overhead that John's got. I saw John here this morning. But yeah, I was at Philly Cricket the year he was inducted. I think that was 2017.
Steve, how many tennis courts does Larendale have? I've lost count.
Well, let's see. I think they have about 15. I'm probably off by 1 or 2 in either direction. But yeah, great tennis community. I played a lot here. Pam Shriver, a former member of the Larendale Club, played a lot of tennis here, as well as some men's interclub over the years. So yeah, great history here in Baltimore. We call it this part of Baltimore, Ruxton, Maryland, where Larendale is situated. So, yeah, great legacy and history at Larendale Club.
See that play once again. Lopez, I saw it in her earlier semifinals. She had a lot of opportunities there. She just has such foot speed and racket skill that when Sikora unloads on that ball that comes, backside way out in the court, Lopez seems to turn that shot to her advantage. So I think maybe a little bit more spin, a little less pace from Sikora over to Lopez might be good. So the ball wouldn't actually come out quite as far. Because I think, then Morgan was back and Sikora kind of took a stab on a ball, maybe just let it go through. But regardless, they'll figure it out.
They'll figure it out. This is a much slower set to develop than the first set, which is a really good sign for Morgan and Sikora.
Yeah, we talk about pace of play a lot. And the longer, the slower pace of play, definitely Sikora and Morgan's advantage here.
It's interesting. Sikora has been more mobile and sort of opportunistic on her movement in the set, but she's not seeing that one opportunity that you keep calling out, Patty.
Really good screenplay out of that ad corner by Morgan. You can see she just sets her paddle early, keeps it open. She knows she's thrown up another lob and just has the patience not to chase the ball. She knows exactly where to position herself to throw up another lob. Not a good choice.
B. Lopez was hit through a few of those volleys a little more in that point than we've seen, throughout this match. But yeah, I think sometimes when you're Sikora and you're watching the point, most of the point, you get a little bit overzealous to try and make something happen. And that was not the one.
See, I don't know why Morgan won't blitz. I think she's the one who's well positioned and setting it up almost, where I feel like Sikora's like, okay, we know we should blitz, so I'm just going to run up. I think it's got to be a slightly different approach. But I like that Sikora's trying to create some havoc on the court. And Steve, I think that was smart of Paige to recognize, there was a shift. There was a switch of position. Sikora was heading over there, and she unloaded with more pace, went right for the nick, got the error. That was good recognition. I mean, all these women can hit any overheads, but it's recognizing, that the best players in the game are watching the footwork, watching the position at all times of that baseline player, and can adjust their overheads at the last second to take advantage of it. You know how we said pace of play slower benefits Sikora Morgan? This is very fast here at the end of that game, and then these first 2 points, Steve, really fast. Too fast. If I was out Morgan, I would hold on to that ball and make Sikora slow down right here, because you can see she's out of rhythm. Steven, sorry to cut you off. Like, errors seem to happen. You know what I mean? You make an error, and then all of a sudden you're like, that was silly. But Sikora 3 in this game. This is such a crucial point in the second set, where she's just got to settle down, lengthen the points again.
Yeah, I agree. Knowing they were sitting on a 2-love lead, now they're 2-all triple break point against. Yeah, something needs to sort of change the pace. And when you put a couple, long fought games followed by a few quick, unforced errors, that's deflating mentally. So good to see him positive, take a step back, and 15-40, keep grinding if you're Charlotte Sikora.
And again, really good serve right up the tee there. Lopez made a move. That's where she's got to find a player at that point. She just wailed on the ball and crushed it and hoped it landed near the court. But you gotta make every return count. And all of a sudden, it's 2 errors in a row. Sikora did it at the beginning of this game. All of a sudden, B had 2 errors in a row. We are at deuce, and women play it out. Men, no ad scoring. Steve, the no ad scoring really has been significant in helping keep matches on time.
Absolutely. I mean, it's arguably shortened the length of some of the matches, but it's added to me a lot of excitement. The 40-30 points more interesting. The deuce points been more interesting. I think the first 2 weeks, you and I started keeping some mental statistics of how those deuce points were going. And they are absolutely, not surprisingly driving some of the outcomes of these matches. So, it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. The entire season on the men's side, we'll use this no ad scoring system, server's choice, as maybe a trial. But so far, I think the sentiment is it's pretty interesting for both timing and the excitement of the match.
On that last point, you see how Paige knew that Lopez was struggling a little bit. And I like that she just forced the action, took charge, won the point, and they're back at deuce.
That hard overhead just sort of gave back the net very quickly to Pejic and Lopez.
Yeah, see, that's the thing, Stephen. In this matchup with Sikora hitting over to Lopez, it seems like when she unloads the pace, they end up losing the net. And it's just because of the foot speed and racket skills from B. Lopez out of that deuce corner. I think it's those bright red sneakers. I think all 4 players recognize what a huge moment in the second set this point is.
Yeah, and being down low 40.
Wow.
Oh, what a spot by Charlotte Sikora.
Oh my Lord, that was big time.
Yeah, just sort of stayed home, planted her feet, used her hands to find that open spot.
And I think we know Charlotte Sikora lives in that 2-handed backhand. I'm not sure she's going to get that many looks on that going forward.
All right, feels like a really important point. May sound obvious, but I really feel like Sikora and Morgan, if they stay, there you go. They stay in this match, they keep it tight. They are absolutely able to push this to a third set, which is, you can hear the crowd at Larendale. This is what everybody's hoping for. Looks like we are holding the men's final at the moment. So, lots of good paddle still to come tonight.
So, Steve, if I'm Paige and Lopez right now, I won the first set 6-3. In that game, I felt like Lopez went off the rails a little bit in that game.
Looks like Charlotte Sikora is engaging Nancy Denig, our chair umpire for the match. And it looks like it's a new ball.
Yep. I think
a little
Lopez,
cold. That first bounce looked like a thud.
Yep. So what I was saying, Steve, was Lopez has to keep it in check here. She didn't play that was not a good game from her right there. And that's where she's got to. She has the benefit of having one of the most explosive players as her partner. She doesn't need to force anything. They get so many great offensive looks.
All right, so we have a new ball. Looks like Taya Page is getting ready to serve, warm that ball up a little bit. What do you think, Patty? You want to see a couple more cracks at the return by Sikora and Morgan?
I don't think Sikora and Morgan. I think Morgan. I want her to put more pressure on, just a little bit, or place her lobs better. Try to go for a little bit more on her lobs. See, I want Sikora. I want her to get back toward her corner. She hasn't hit a forehand drive, I don't think. Has she hit a forehand drive in this match? And she's leaving that corner wide open for that cross court. This is what I want her to do. I want her to just get over there, take that shot away. And I want Morgan sneaking a little bit over to the middle from the baseline. And Steve, you see how far over Sikora came to try to take that two-handed backhand? Just a little too far.
All right, 15 love. We have Taya Page serving from the near side to Allison Morgan in the ad court.
Do you like the shot, Steve? So this is Taya Page serving one of the best service motions, and she just cracked that serve. One of the best in the women's game. Easy hold to make it 3-all, second set here.
All right, feels like it's important. Again, we have Allison Morgan serving from the far side. I feel like their momentum needs to sort of stay right in this game and not give that 4-3 edge to Lopez and Page.
And the first point, like right there, you see, here comes Page, and you have Morgan and Sikora both. They hadn't shifted at all, and they're off the net. They're dead. They're dead in the water against Page in that situation. Page is just so good on that forehand. She recognized when she needs to hit that ball a little bit more. She recognized when she needs, adding pace will benefit her. Really a remarkable player, and maybe her third year or fourth year of platform tennis. Wow, great tipping ball from Lopez. Again, you saw Morgan way back, Sikora a little bit off the net. These are the two players on the tour who can consistently put the ball at your feet with their forehand or their backhand.
Yeah, just really impressive footwork, but think you call that the dipping ground stroke. It's just incredible racket speed and spin that B. Lopez can put on that ball.
B. Lopez is back. She had a little bit of a walkabout in that last game, and she had 3 errors, but boom, she just made up for it big time. And Pejic and Lopez, so determined in this game. They're literally going for the break, and they can play that aggressive style so effectively. And that's the thing that, you just don't see from Morgan and Sikora. Can they go on the aggressive and execute? When the score demands it.
All right, we say 1 point at a time. When you get down 40 love, just got to play point by point, but that was a free point and maybe a free game there.
They lead 4 games to 3 in the second set. Pejic Lopez won the first set 6-3.
It is amazing the momentum shifts that happen all the time out here, Steve. And Steve, look at our data here, thanks to court director. Anything jump off of the page here for you?
It's a little bit closer on point differential, Patty. I think breakpoint opportunities. 7 breakpoint opportunities. Now they only converted 2 of the 7, Lopez and Page, but that means they are sort of you talked earlier. Sometimes holding serve is not necessarily the thing we see in paddle. But yeah, a lot more opportunities if you look at sort of from a comparison basis, and Morgan and Sikora aren't getting as many break opportunities. So yeah, this is 56% of the points going to Lopez and Page in this set, and the 4-3 advantage. It's been a momentum, a little bit of back and forth, but 2-0 start by Morgan and Sikora. Now it seems like all the pressure's on them to stay in this second set.
Yeah, Steve, in the semifinal matchup, Lopez and Page with Lalich and Elliott, it was about the exact same thing, and Lopez Page won that match, winning something like 53% of the points. And I remember Roger Federer speaking at a Dartmouth graduation, saying how in his career, Roger Federer, one of our game's all-time greatest players in tennis, obviously, he won something like 56% of the points played, which I would have thought that would have been a higher percentage. So I think it's when you win the points and playing those big points. I think that's what paddle always comes down to.
Yeah, sometimes when you think about who plays what side, if you have righty-righty or lefty-lefty, the player in the ad court sometimes is the one who really needs to sort of win games, either up 40-30, getting the advantage, being able to convert game points, break points from the ad side can be very important as the returner. So yeah, these are obviously the best teams in our sport, and it's not going to be a big differential. So you got to like the energy. Allison Morgan really trying to keep Charlotte Sikora positive, which isn't typically a hard thing to do.
You hear that constant chatter, communication between the players and their partners at all times. Great lob down the line from Morgan.
See the quickness of Taya Page trying to look for an opportunity there. Comes in quick, retreats pretty quick.
And I just think that's where Page, Lopez, like, she's got to resist. I just think playing some of those points like that, like just going and then missing, and hitting it off the back screen, you can't have a miss that misses by that much. You got to put the ball somewhere where maybe you have a chance to play her a little bit nearer it. That's a nice way of playing. Get a more realistic shot in that moment, given what the score is and given the pressure right now that Oregon are feeling.
Go, come on. Go.
Steve, we see it over and over. Sometimes you make one error and then you miss a call that is so routine for you. Lopez has done that a couple of times in this match. She'll clean it up as the season goes on. I'm confident. So if there was ever a time for a break, this is it, Morgan Sikora. Really,
absolutely. I like the way they're playing this game. With energy, they're still looking for opportunities. They're hitting a couple really big ground strokes when it presents itself. So.
Oh, great sneak attack from Sikora.
Great sneak attack, but unbelievable dig on the volley she was forced to hit.
Oh, my Lord. She made it look so easy.
Very steady backhand volley by Charlotte Sikora.
There's no doubt when Allison Morgan's calling the play. You, me, you, me. You hear it early and decisive.
Love it. Then they're just making them play. They're playing better. They're playing steady, but they're making more. They're making Lopez and Page win the point. And sometimes when you feel like you have to win the point, you go for a little more. You go for bigger shots. We saw a couple loose errors. You mentioned the one by B. Lopez, a number of points ago. But this is, this is a very good time for Morgan Sikora to sort of tighten it up, right? Lock it down, keep pushing, and Lopez and Page are going to continue to swing away. This is clear.
Wow, what an inside out forehand.
Oh, big of the season so far by Allison Morgan.
Yep.
That was all hands and a scoop job. Wow. Great point. Great point.
You notice Sikora's moved her grip over a little bit more on her serve this season. I think she was working on that last year at Mixed Nationals. She played with Key Nunez. I saw her kind of playing with it out there, and you see Key play, and he's the master of grip changes and what he comes up with. And I love that Charlotte moved it a little bit and really able to hit a lot more spin and control her serve beautifully.
This is her forehand volley grip, Patty?
No, her forehand serving grip. You'll see
her serving grip, okay.
Moved over a little bit more. And I think she did it kind of, like in Mixed Nationals last year, and she started some camps with Dee, and maybe I think this fall she was working on it a little bit.
May allow her to relax her arm a little bit and swing through the ball a little more with a more continental grip.
Yes, even gone beyond it now, you'll get a good shot of it here. And a lot of players are hesitant, to move their grips on serve, but it's hard to add spin or pace if you don't have that grip, at least at a continental. Steve, all these players, their neutral grip is the continental grip, and then they'll go Western or semi-Western when let's say they're going to tag a forehand. where I think a lot of club level players get stuck on like the forehand driving grip and try to play the whole game around that grip. So you're working on your game. A continental grip's a little bit more neutral during play, and then you put it over when you want more power to finish.
I agree. That's probably the one technical aspect of a club or a beginner intermediate player, both on the serve and the volleying, to kind of lock in that very solid continental grip. You tend to have a harder time teaching that to kind of get players to sort of move up and a little bit more advanced, especially from a volley perspective. You see a lot of patty caking of serves and sort of frying pan volleys, and the continental grip's the trick, but it's very hard to teach people that don't have previous racket skills.
That's why, Steve, we talk about the impact of their tennis background. I think players in the off season, there's a benefit to getting out on a tennis court, and hitting a tennis ball with strength and developing a little bit more feel kinds of shots.
Yeah, I always tell people I don't discriminate. I play padel, I play pickle, I'm playing a lot of tennis. Tennis is sort of my core. In the winter, I lock it into paddle, and I love it, from a huge change of pace. But yeah, they're all a little bit different. I think they all complement each other in a way and give, some opportunities to try different things. So interesting patty, definitely a change in momentum. And that last point, we've seen a little bit of frustration 2 points ago by Taya Page, stretching the legs over there. Morgan and Sikora playing very sort of steady, solid paddle, which goes back to what you said was most important, just holding those volleys.
That was a great little play from Lopez to throw up that lob volley, just to kind of buy her team a little time as they had to drop back and
I think she felt she was in the wrong spot at the wrong time.
But she didn't panic, and she just threw up a lob, got a little air under it, just to buy a little time. So Morgan Sikora, 2 points to go up 5-4 here in the second set.
Yeah, but if I'm them, I'm using rollers and push volleys. I'm probably not hitting high overheads that are going to give, the transition opportunity and make Page and Lopez swing away. The last 10 minutes, they've missed a lot of big ground strokes, so I'd force them to hit that ball. There it is. They were listening. I just think it's smart paddle, like reading the dynamic of the match, reading sort of the momentum change. Obviously down 4-3. I felt Sikora and Morgan were letting this match slip away, but they just kind of locked it in. And of course, absolutely vintage volleying by both Morgan and Sikora in that last probably 2-game stretch. I think that might be another new ball. They're warming up there. Taya Page moving her legs quite a bit. I don't know if you noticed, Patty, in the last game, stretching and not just keeping mobile. It looked like she might be getting a little tight here. It's gotten a little cooler, probably closer to maybe 50, high 40s at the moment.
You think she tweaked something, maybe?
I don't know. I noticed it a game ago where she was just sort of jumping, but almost stretching her legs and her quads as she was jumping around. So she was doing it again there. At this point, you just keep your body moving.
She had a two-handed backhand in that last game, and she didn't look to be aggressive with it at all. So maybe she did tweak something.
Oh, what a dig. was an unbelievable good volley from Taya Page, and Allison Morgan just grinded it out. No, don't take that. Play and let. Goodness. Good point. Well, hard fought both sides of the net there.
Yeah, she knew she got lucky.
All right, that's just a little short, but that's the one I want to see. I want to go back to what we saw. Allison Morgan down the line over B. Lopez's head if she can get it up. What do you think? That transition lob, was that Taya Page's to hit on the forehand?
Possibly, Steve.
Yeah, possibly. Let's see if we can see any signs that maybe there is a movement. B. Lopez not shy from the baseline.
No, and I love B. Lopez unloading on her ground stroke, Steve, all day long, because she can hit him all day long. I just think sometimes you don't have to put quite as much heat on the ball as others. Steve.
What? Say it.
I love Charlotte Sikora, but hit your forehand. She had that little shot. She went for like a little finesse ball. Crack it. You got a shot at Lopez or Page. Take it.
Yeah, find their forehand side, chicken wing them, and make them hit a great volley. I totally agree. And ultimately, I think the shot selection wasn't right, but she got herself in the right position, surprisingly, and just sort of dumped the volley a little bit. But I agree. It's 5-4 up in the second set. Hit it.
Yeah, I love that shot from Lopez. She took a little bit off that ball, Steve. And, Sikora is anticipating it to be hit at a certain mile per hour. You take a little something off it, and that's when you can get someone to be a little early on that volley, and the ball can float long on you. But again, Morgan just not doing quite enough with that return in that situation, Steve. Good hands from Lopez to pick it off. Snuck that ball past Charlotte over in that deuce corner at her 5-all in the finals of the Baltimore Open. I'm Patty Hogan with Baltimore's finest Steve Sullivan. Lopez Page won that first set 6-3. And we are in a thriller 5-all second set.
Just an absolute cannon, that dipping ground stroke. But I think Morgan and Sikora are the team you would pick to defend those volleys. A couple breaks, a couple let courts in the last game. All right, time to shake it off. think Paige had an opportunity to go towards Sikora as she was retreating, and Allison Morgan just holding her ground there. Keep hitting the swinger. Keep hitting the roller. I really like Charlotte Sikora's forehand roller.
Yeah, I want to see her hit this roller straight at Lopez, and where the ball could go over toward
The side screen.
and away from her.
Exactly.
So it's not just hitting the roller; it's about where you place it on the court that then can create an opening for yourself on the next shot. Would you say Lopez has dialed back in, Steve?
It's interesting. Those two and a half games, both Pejic and Lopez missed maybe a half dozen ground strokes that sort of gave Morgan Sikora a new life. The last game, Lopez is dialed in. She is absolutely ripping just about everyone she should rip. Where I think we thought Pejic was sort of the more aggressive, successful, offensive player in the first part of the match. But right now, Lopez.
And I said it in the first set. He was, 9 out of 10 sets going to Lopez, and in the semifinals actually as well. But she's one of those two players who just thrives on it. She wants the ball. She wants to hit another and another and another. She could care less how many balls come her way. You see Paige just waiting it out to see.
There's one of those misses that she's just a little bit. Yeah, she's playing to a spot that's a very small spot on the court.
And I think, she made the move. She's kind of getting toward the middle of the court with her back to Paige. Went for a lot up the alley there, and I just think that's where all she has to do is hit the player straight ahead and get the point going.
Wow, just on the back of the line.
Oh, Steve, now Allison drives it. I don't want her to drive that ball.
No, I know. That's the one you just got to send up. All right, very nice. Just get out of the way. Just couldn't get that ball back in the court. I like this sort of defensive move. Let them hit those ground strokes. All right, break point here. They're still there. It's a little bit of back and forth. I think Morgan Sikora just have to find a way to get a little bit of that energy back. I feel like Lopez, Patty, played through a little bit of her ground stroke lull, just sort of kept at it, kept swinging away, kept going for it, and for about 2.5 games, just striped almost everyone she hit. So,
yeah. But that was a big-time moment right there, and that was a crucial breakdown of the positioning at the net with Morgan Sikora. And you saw Allison probably just had to stay on her back and stay out of the way, but she didn't feel that Sikora was next to her and making a stab at the last second. Didn't work out, and now Lopez Paige up 6-5 in the second set. Final set for Baltimore.
think Charlotte chased that one a little bit into the side screen. All right.
Steve, we get these great statistics from court directors. I wonder if there's a statistic on how many times the team that wins the first point of the game actually goes to hold serve. I'd be fascinated with that. As you can see right here, Lopez Page, 2 quick points in 0 time. And we know they need to play longer points all the time against Page and Lopez because they just don't have that quick offensive, they can't create their own offensive look from pretty deep on the baseline the way Lopez and Page can. A couple of short lobs, and all of a sudden, 2 championship points here for Page and Lopez.
All right. Just got to keep digging.
Ha, a welcome gift.
Take it and move on.
Oh, I love the show from Sikora. Just get up there and totally brilliant move. But hadn't done it before in the match. Crucial point. And she distracted Lopez just for a second, got the fault, and we're back to deuce. Gigantic play of not hitting a ball, just adjusting positioning. Or showing
Absolutely. Closing a match is difficult, and I think, she saw the first opening with the first fault. Just, little body movement. Totally reasonable to put herself in that position. And you're back to deuce. At the end of the day, this is a 6-5 set.
Again, good blitz. We've seen the blitz coming from Sikora, and that's really been a difference in this next set.
Yeah, great movement
it.
by Charlotte Sikora. Made Taya Page overthink that shot. What do you think? Rip a return here?
I doubt it. I would go after Morgan. I would take Sikora out of this point right here. They had broken down Morgan in the screen.
What a double transition. Just a silky smooth spot shot. And
but why give Sikora the 2-handed backhand in that point? That's what I don't get. That was awfully nice of Lopez and Page to do that. Back to deuce. You know what I'm saying, Steve, right here? I just wouldn't involve Sikora. Her 2-handed backhand is the weapon, and her blitz is the weapon. Keep the ball over to Morgan right now.
oh, goodness. I love the cat and mouse, and I think she moved to the right spot. Ball just absolutely popped off Charlotte Sikora's racket face. So another match point. The nick, couple at course, and a nick on the final point. What a hard-fought match.
Steve, I mean, what a wonderful display of the best women in our sport. They went out here, they gave it their all. I love the play from both teams out here. And Steve, I want to take a look at the stats because I'm really curious about, the total number of points won by Lopez Page, 56%. I mean, very little. That's not a lot.
Yeah, that's not a lot. I mean, it's a very sort of, close match. You mentioned the Roger Federer statistics he talks about in his career. I think, I thought it was a great match. I think Morgan Sikora had a few opportunities, Patty, certainly in that second set more than the first set. But hey, these are the two of the best teams in our sport. I think this is what the crowd at Larendale came to watch. So I love it. We're only week 3 into the season. So yeah, a lot more paddle to come. Yeah.
Yeah, Steve, that was great. It was fun calling the match with you. That was a treat to get a front row seat to such talent out there. Kudos to all 4 of these women. Phenomenal play. That's a wrap from the 2025 Baltimore Open Women's APTA Tour. Go to another channel. Check out the men's action. It's going on right now. Thanks so much, Steve.
Thank you.
At Corient, wealth management begins and ends with you. We believe the more personal the solution, the more powerful the result. We treat your goals as our own. We never lose focus on the life you want to build. And our experienced advisors design custom-built strategies to help you get there. It's time for a wealth management experience as sophisticated as you are. It's time for Corient.
Investment opportunities are everywhere you turn. Do you charge forward?